Well, good afternoon again, everyone, and welcome back to the Georgia Candidates Forum here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'd like to, I can't believe that we're almost at the end. I think this is our last panel before we have some final remarks from O.J. Semans from Four Directions. It's been an amazing 2 days. It seems like 4 days, but we've had an amazing group of candidates come in, great trainings from NCAI, and it's a really insightful information being received from some of the candidates from the questions that were asked by Indian country. So I want to thank all of our candidates who've come down and all our participants. What I'd like to do right now is let's talk about the past couple of days. What are the lessons learned from the political engagement that we had from the candidates with Native America? So with that, I would, and before that though, once again, I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank Four Directions, Native Vote for hosting this. I want to thank our fellow co-sponsors, Native American Rights Fund, the NCAI, and Native Forward Scholarships, but also the ZuCot Gallery for providing us this really beautiful space to have this event. And so thank you very, very much for all of that, both sponsors and the ZuCot Gallery. Panelists, I'd like to first have you introduce yourselves, and then when that's done, I have 2 questions to ask each of you, if we may. So starting with Dallin.
Okay, thank you, Don. My name is Dallin Maybee. I'm the Assistant Director of Development for Native American Rights Fund. I'm Northern Arapaho and Seneca, and it's just been a fantastic event so far.
Hi, I'm Saundra Mitrovich, and I'm Civic Engagement and Community Outreach Manager for the National Congress of American Indians, Time and Imani Maidu from Northern California. And this has been an amazing time in, I would say, a series of forums that have started out on the West Coast that has brought us here. So it's been a great journey so far.
We chose on My name is O.J. Semans, Sr. I am the co-executive director of Four Directions along with my wife, Barb. I want to thank everybody that participated, and I know we're going to have questions, but I had to get that in.
I am Vonnie McCormick, Principal Chief of the Lower Muscogee Creek Tribe, located in Whigham, Georgia.
And I'm Don Ragona, the Director of Development and House Counsel for the Native American Rights Fund, and I'll be the one asking you questions. So, with that, panelists, what do you believe is the most important lesson from yesterday's and today's proceedings in regards to political engagement, including access to the electoral process for Native Americans in Georgia and natives across the United States?
Okay. Well, what I've overwhelmingly been impressed with across a lot of different narratives that have occurred during these last few days is the emphasis on participation and this idea of coalition building amongst a lot of our allies and minority groups. With over 50 to 60% of the native population residing in urban Indian centers and large cities like Atlanta, we can't discount the effectiveness and the impact of Native participation in elections, whether it's local, state, or on a federal level. We have issues just as we have issues back home. I live in just outside of Denver. I've lived in various cities on and off the reservation through most of my life. But what I'm seeing in some of these conversations that we're having with candidates and with other organizers and various organizations who engage in this election process on behalf of tribal members is that we've got to come together. We've got to educate each other as to the impact of our vote. We've got to recognize that there are tools and strategies that we can assist each other in order to increase Native participation. And ultimately, the end goal is representation. There's no greater advocate for our communities than somebody who comes from our communities. We've got to participate. We've got to demonstrate to people that engaging in this political process is not another act of colonization. In fact, when you give that power to somebody else, you are in fact being colonized further. And if we are going to protect our homelands, whether they're in the Indian center, urban Indian centers or not, or home, we've got to find representatives who understand the unique challenges of Indian country and are going to engage for us and not dilute that vote like other interests would have happen.
Thank you, Dallin.
You know, I think in continuing in that path or that vein, the thing that we heard collectively the most too, alongside unity was a quote that I don't know who exactly said it, so if you said it, I give you credit. But when somebody said, "Are you willing to give away your own sovereignty?" And because that's what you're doing when you don't show up and vote. You're giving that power, to Dallin's point, you're giving that power to somebody else to make that choice for you. And I think what we learned over the past 2 days is that we want to be the people that craft, right, our own pathway. We also want to collectively come together. We have allies and advocates in all spaces and places. And also one of the messages I think here is that what we do in this state, even in Georgia, right, the work that we do, the things that we heard from the candidates, that can resonate across the country. In all of the other elections that are happening, what may happen in one state definitely does and can relate to what's happening in another state. And so as we continue these discussions, I hope that other people tuning in on the live stream and around the country took some nuggets away from either what a candidate said or something that we maybe uplifted or stood up in the discussion about voter engagement, ways that they can even engage their own community, participate even in their own tribal elections. But definitely, I think just underscoring you have a position and a place and you can be a participant in this. It doesn't take you to be in a certain role or in a certain position. Every single person has a place in Get Out the Vote and can definitely play a vital role.
Thank you. OJ, any thoughts?
A lot of them. You know, the first thought that as far as lessons learned, do not take all the candidates and put them every half hour. Also, there are only so many hours in the day. So at one time, tell a candidate, I'm sorry, we're full. But the positive parts, well, first of all, this gallery, ZuCot, wonderful, wonderful host. And when you came in here, you felt, you know, friendship, the warmth, and you got to see this beautiful art, and you just felt at home. And so I guess if I learned anything, moving forward, we find venues such as this. And the second thing is have your good tech. The people that provided the tech, the live stream, the mics, I was just telling people today, this is the first time we had a forum where we had a mic for everybody. It was like one of those relays where we'd have a mic to somebody else while we were running down the road. So, I mean, so that's really important. But what I really think lesson learned, and I think it's by example. And if you look who is here, different nations. I mean, we have, you know, not one of the people sitting here are from the same tribe. And yet, we unified to get that message out there. You know, I really want to thank Vonnie. I mean, she's the core of this. This is her ancestral homelands, and she started it out with a strong prayer welcoming us. And so, moving forward, we got to keep projecting that unity, not only to us, but like I said, there's 250 some odd tribes represented by thousands of Native Americans or more. And we want them to understand what we are showing you by example. Unity is strength. And we understand there's more than one tribe. We understand there's more than one culture. But we have taken everything that we've learned, whether it's tradition, culture, and put it all together to do one thing. Well, actually more than one. First, to protect our treaties. Second, to protect our sovereignty. Third, to protect our people. And that's, I think, what we got out of here. And then the candidates. The candidates look forward to coming here. And when they got here, some of them didn't want to leave. You know, and they heard issues they never even heard of before. And so whether they get elected or they don't get elected, we're getting our message out there. ICWA, very important. Missing and murdered Indigenous women. The candidates, a lot of them didn't hear about that. Voting rights, voting barriers. I mean, so I think the lesson learned is that we keep doing what we're doing. We keep doing it together, and we keep united and getting that voice out there. Thank you.
Thank you, OJ.
One thing I learned today was we are from different places, but we all have the same problems. And coming together and accepting one another with our own problems. So together we can stand and we can make a difference. This is an awakening for Georgia, because you can stand on the streets and they'll tell you there are no natives in the state. We are here. We are still here, and we're still fighting for our rights. It is very important that our people get out and vote. If you want to make a difference for your tribal people, you must get out and vote. Make sure you register. Get out there and vote, and help us to make a difference.
Thank you. Absolutely. All good words, panelists. Thank you. And, you know, just reflecting on the 2 days for myself, is, especially with the multicultural panel, you know, what everyone said here today, why we need to vote, why we need to get out to vote, but mostly the unity, right? Bringing together different communities, bringing together the Asian community, the Black community, the Hispanic community, the Native community. And what did we learn? We learned that we're all dealing with the same issues, but we also learned we don't have to fight the battle by ourselves. We have allies, and we need to be allies together. And each of us do have a responsibility. And thank you, Chief McCormick, for bringing that in again. We need to vote, both the Native folks who are from here, but also the urban Indians who have moved here and relocated here for jobs or what have you. We're still Native people. We still have a responsibility. This election coming up is more than just Georgia. It's national. It's Georgia, and it's national as well. All right. Sorry about that. Learning how to use my lightsaber here. Thank you. So anyway, it's just so key. So many lessons learned, so many friendships made, so many allies made. Now let's take that momentum and that strength and this recharge of energy and move it forward. And for the folks listening at home, with the national organizations that we have sitting here, the Native American Rights Fund out of Boulder, NCAI out of DC, Four Directions out of South Dakota. Look them up. See what the work they're doing. Chief, you want to name some groups here in Georgia that might be working on this, or even if some of you remember some of the groups that's out of the Multicultural Panel.
Well, we have the Georgia Council on American Indian Concerns. They help us a lot. Janine Abrams' group helps us a good bit. I have worked with different ones with doing civic engagements, trying to make sure our people understand their civic duty. That is not something that our elders have really had, and they need to understand. This is for you. It's time that we stand up for you. And it's where we teach the little ones how to come on up, get out there, register to vote, and you vote. Help your grandmother get to vote. Whoever is there, you help them. Thank you.
So, a lot of great groups nationally, a lot of great groups locally. And just to close out for myself, I just want to repeat the words from Dallin and from NCAI. To just say, you know what? To vote is not to lose your sovereignty. To vote is to gain sovereignty. It's to strengthen sovereignty. And you're not sovereign unless you act sovereign. And voting is a perfect way to do that. Taking control of our own destiny and not letting anybody else do it for us. So with that, Chief McCormick, if I may ask you to close out this amazing 2 days into this session with a closing prayer.
Migusabuks. Manga heamen migusabuks puthki hoi legetskad. Father God, who lives on high, we thank you for this day. We thank you for these 2 days that we have had, that we can bring forth the knowledge of how things can be, how we can get out and vote, Father, how each one is linked to helping the other. Help us all, Lord, as we go different ways, and that we have flights, or we may be in vehicles, whatever we are in, Father, that you would take care of us, that you would give us safe journey, and Lord, that you would help our families, our homes, everyone in the United States, and help our nation. Mado.
Thank you, Chief McCormick, panelists, and thank you everybody who've been with us over these past couple of days. Get out and vote, support these organizations, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.